Dragon's Dogma 2, shaping up to be one of the best games of this year. Let's see what's new.
I think one of the most unique features of Dragon's Dogma 2 is its enemy and boss design. There are a ton of bigger creatures like trolls and griffins, which you can climb to attack their weak spot. Doing so will topple them to allow for some massive damage. You can also use environmental hazards like breaking open a dammed river to topple creatures as well, but there are some that require more.
Pretty common stuff, but again, man, the water here just looks a little bit sus. I have seen this clip many times before. If someone showed me just this spot, I would be like, is this even a real game? But this is a real game, and it's pretty great. And it's gonna be amazing.
Creative solutions like the Sphinx. According to the...
I mean, I'm listening. What kind of creative solutions to deal with this semen demon are you implying? Because I'm gonna take them, I'm not gonna lie. I'm all, hey, the creativer and crazier solution to deal with her, I'm all in.
The developers, there's actually a pretty big chance you'll reach the end of the game without seeing this creature, as it's considered optional content and pretty well hidden in its own corner of the world. If you do find it, however, you're in for
That's hot.
a pretty unique encounter. As you might remember it from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Sphinxes love riddles, and the one in Dragon's Dogma is no different. However,
yeah, Sphinxes love riddles is a mythological thing, not an Assassin's Creed thing.
the developers made sure that these aren't simply written riddles, but need to be solved through action-focused encounters. The first riddle you encounter has you traverse a labyrinth with enemies and traps to retrieve a specific item described by the riddle.
A vibrator. Obviously.
Since there are multiple items in the dungeon, you need to think about which one is the solution to the riddle while fighting your
The biggest one. Obviously.
way through, which honestly sounds like a really cool side quest. If you successfully solve a Sphinx's riddle, she'll allow you to loot one of the treasure chests in her lair. So I am definitely going out of my way to find this creature and get that treasure, but even more important, I'd argue, is finding special NPCs known as vocation meesters. These are characters who have mastered.
Yeah, they're gonna teach you stuff and you're just gonna Google where they are, or where they traverse between, because they're not gonna exactly stay at one spot constantly.
Their respective vocation, which are the game's classes. And by befriending them and earning their approval, they can teach you new vocations or offer you a special skill known as a Maester's Teaching, which is like a class ultimate. One of the examples given was for the Mystic Spearhand, who can summon a clone of themselves, which allows them to deal both magical and physical damage at the same time.
Wow.
But the one I'm looking out for the...
I mean, that's pretty cool, right? Well, obviously the classes are cool because there's like a billion different classes and all of them are good.
most is the Maester that will teach me the Warfarer vocation, which is a very unique class that was revealed during the state of play in January. This vocation has the ability to use every single weapon type and learn the core skills of every other vocation in the game. So this allows you to combine the abilities of a spellcasting class and swap to a melee weapon, or you can switch from a bow to a giant greatsword, which is much more flexibility than the other vocations allow for.
Yeah, this sounds really good, but keep in mind, this is probably not going to be what most people choose to play. This is like going to be for the super perfectionists and probably like high percentile players to do. Because this class has, well, it has all the tricks and abilities of every class, but there is a but, obviously, right? And that is, it's just weaker. It has access to all the tricks, but, you know, to pull this class off correctly and, you know, not feel like an idiot, you actually need to be good at the game. Well, you can be just a fighter, click attack, and it's gonna deal a lot of damage because, you know, being a fighter means that you're stupid, obviously, and thus you need very simple things like just swing sword really strong. It makes perfect sense, and this is the exact opposite. Usually, typically.
The downside of the Warfarer is that their basic stats are not high and they must carry many weapons in order to use the various skills. So you really have to make sure you are combining the abilities of the different vocations to their maximum potential to get the most out of this class. And if you're already overwhelmed by the choices, we'll of course have a class guide and tons of other tricks up on the channel when the game releases. So subscribe to not miss those and leave a like if you enjoyed the video so far. We also learned something very important about resting in the game and how it doesn't mean that you are safe. safe. So getting hit in Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't only reduce your current HP, but it also lowers a small portion of your max HP, which cannot be recovered by healing spells or items. So as you continuously get into fights and get hit, your max health will get lower and lower until you eventually need to rest at a local inn or at a campfire out in the wilds. And while most games would let you skip time and have you wake up the next morning, resting in Dragon's Dogma 2 is no guarantee that you are safe. IGN described the scenario from their preview where they fought a
Yeah, we saw this. The griffin, they got attacked by a griffin. The griffin decided to piss off and then it attacked in the night. And then something else attacked them in the night. So, you know, need to be careful. This is essentially just a pretty neat system to make it so that you can't constantly be out, that you need to go back to the cities, because the cities are not gonna just, you know, have exclamation marks above characters in them so you can get quests. You kind of need to listen to what people are saying and talk to them at random and figure out what's happening. So, a system like this actually makes sense. In other games, I would say that this is stupid, but here, it kind of looks like it makes sense, but, you know, no one really likes a Vitter style of damage system, because everyone just wants to, you know, constantly go out and do things, but who knows, maybe it works good here, but usually this is something that people don't like.
griffin but didn't finish the beast off. Later, the player decided to take a rest to recover their health, only to be woken in the middle of the night by that same griffin who had come looking for a fight. And many systems in Dragon's Dogma 2 have some form of risk-reward, like fast travel for instance. Instant fast travel spots are rare and also require a pretty expensive resource to use them. Ox carts are cheaper, but you run the risk of being ambushed mid-journey. And going on foot is of course free, but also the slowest, which isn't unimportant considering the game's map is supposed to be 4 times the size of the originals. And while that does,
which is good and amazing, and I love it, and everyone should love it. The bigger the map, the better. Hey, no one's exactly complaining about Elden Ring being a giant map.
Sound a bit daunting, I still think I'll explore the world on foot to discover as many secrets as I can find. Dragon's Dogma 2 namely also has an interesting take on questing and exploration. The team didn't want a ton of quest markers and other icons cluttering the HUD and pulling you out of the immersion, so instead a large part of questing is guided by NPCs. When in town, quest givers will actually come up to you to tell you they need your help, and when it comes to directions out in the world, you'll often have the option to let your NPC party members known as pawns guide you.
Yeah, it's pretty dynamic. And you know why I really like the idea of a game like this? Because it's specifically designed for people like me, I feel. I play a game, like for example Fallout New Vegas, and well, I'm not gonna just methodically look at every single spot and do everything on the map. No. I'm gonna do the things that I find, the things that I'm pointed to sometimes if I feel like it, and finish the game. Start a new character, and probably go in a different direction and see what happens. And this game is perfect for that. Because it's so large and everything is hidden and there's a bunch of stuff to uncover, you can make a character, play until you feel fulfilled, or until you finish the game, in whatever way, honestly, this game is finishable. And then you can just make a new character and go into the other direction. So it's instantaneous replayability. Now admittedly this is not the same for everyone. Some people like exploring all of the maps, some people just go do the main quest objective. For each it's different. But for me, I love this idea because this is perfect for replayability for me.
They will either remark on things in your direct environment, such as nearby crafting materials, or they will suggest a course of action or location to travel to. If you then give them the go-ahead, they will lead you to said location or help you out with an action, such as breaking a rock to unlock a hidden path. And the cool thing when it comes to questing is that you can borrow pawns made by other players who will have knowledge.
Bruh, you know that people are gonna make the most disgusting, filthy looking pawns in the history of ever, and that's gonna be great. Your world, your companions are gonna be Cthulhu and abomination, and it's gonna be hilarious.
Of any quest they've already done in their game. Meaning that if you are close to a key location for the quest, they will know that and guide you towards it. The world is of course.
Hey man, have you done this quest? Oh yeah, my pawn, Dick Suck McGee, is showing me where it is because someone else had done it. 10 out of 10 game design.
Of course, also inhabited by other NPCs who can join you and help you during a fight if they cross your path, which definitely helps to make the world feel more alive and dynamic. But most of the help in combat will come from your party of pawns. You need to keep their health in mind as they can go down during combat. What is cool, however, is that you are able to pick them up while down and put them down somewhere else. So if you want to revive them but an enemy is standing too close, you can pick them up and run away to a safe spot.
Yeah, and then throw them like a sack of potatoes because, you know, if there's one thing that stops arterial bleeding, it's getting thrown like a ragdoll. Smart and true.
Pawns have actually received more upgrades since the first game, as the developers have also made sure to avoid them repeating the same lines of dialogue over and over again.
Nice.
There are also a lot of different voices for pawns, which are tied to a certain type of personality that also decides their behavior in combat. So I'm guessing that means that this fighter with the straightforward inclination will just march towards the enemy head on, which suits their chosen vocation pretty well. And you of course get
this is the best vocation ever, aka job class. You cast illusions. Now, admittedly, people are saying, oh, you can also buff things, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a fail that gets redesigned when the game launches, because, I mean, a Trickster style, well, it's literally called a Trickster. A Trickster style thing where you're supposed to get enemies to move down a cliff and they die, or you buff them. I mean, it sounds good on paper, but stuff like this never works.
Get to pick this personality and voice for your main pawn, which is fully customizable, just like the main character, the Arisen. Dragon's Dogma 2 actually has a super in-depth character creator.
Oh yeah, this is what we like to see.
With the biggest upgrade from the first game being the inclusion of a second playable race, the Beastrun. Regardless of what race
this is the sad part, because, furries?
you pick, you can tweak almost every individual part of your face and body, but the devs have also included some pretty neat quick start options for if you don't want to spend hours in character creation. This lets you pick a body type, a body shape, and then you get to pick from a selection of a ton of faces modeled after real humans. So it's super easy to set up a base template that already looks good, and then you can still customize that to taste if you want to. But the biggest choice you'll make for both you and your pawn is which vocation they will play. Luckily, vocations can be switched out at vocation guilds, so you're not locked to a single one. And new advanced vocations like the warrior and magic spearhand can also be unlocked. But where you unlock these through leveling base classes in the first game, now it seems vocations are locked behind the previously mentioned vocation meesters or special quests, which we know because IGN reported that unlocking the warrior and the sorcerer is done through a special quest. We also got a bit more info on both classes, with warrior reportedly being much stronger than it was in the first game. This great
Yep. And the developers are toning it down because it seems a little bit overpowered last time I heard. Because, I mean, you're just swinging an axe. And I understand that some people just want to swing that axe and do big number because that is fun. That is fun at the end of the day. True. I may talk down at warriors, but, you know, swinging a weapon that no one should be able to even carry properly and then just, you know, chopping something off. Pretty fun.
Sword-wielding fighter can charge individual strikes for massive damage, but thanks to a unique passive, you can also speed up your combos by timing your button inputs in sync with when your attacks hit. You can also cancel out of an attack with the warrior's unique barge skill that allows you to shoulder charge forward and stun enemies out of an attack. So an offensive and a defensive option in one, especially nice since you can transition into a barge from any move in your combo. Sorcerer gameplay is also looking very interesting thanks to a big emphasis on stamina management. You see, spells in Dragon's Dogma 2 are pretty powerful, but they also take a long time to cast. You can decrease the casting time by holding R1 or RB for a quick spell, but doing so costs you stamina. So if you want to rapidly combo spells, you'll quickly run out of stamina, but this is where Galvanize comes in. This ability allows you to quickly recharge your stamina while standing still, meaning that instead of waiting for it to come back, you can recharge it quickly if you can find a safe space to do so. So combat becomes a rhythm of cast.
I wonder if that's gonna become tedious though. I really wonder if something like that just becomes slightly too tedious. Because it has the ability to. I mean, it's a neat idea, but, you know, Is there going to be just an option where you get an item that increases stamina regen by that much, and your best option is not to actually use the galvanize and run away to a different and safer location and just start casting? Who knows? But yeah, I like a lot about this, but there are some things that I know that sound on paper better. Like, for example, adding traps that make you lose control of your character. That sounds great on... No, wait, it doesn't. But, you know, there are a bunch of things that sound great on paper here, but I doubt that they're gonna work out. Well, currently, the only thing that I honestly am doubting is the Trickster. You know, the illusion class. But everything else looks on point.
Casting some big spells, retreating and using Galvanize to recover your stamina, and then getting back into combat to drop some more fireballs. But the most unique class of the bunch is definitely the Trickster. We got a ton of new info and gameplay on this class thanks to IGN, which uses a sensor as its main weapon, which doesn't actually deal damage. Instead,
it does deal damage, but it deals very pitiful amounts of damage if you actually suck an enemy with it.
Controls aggro from enemies hit, causing them to attack you. You can then create a clone of yourself to transfer the aggro to,
effectively it's make clone. You have an ability that makes the clone appear at your location. Make it appear at your location, enemies run after you. Find a ledge, create an invisible thing, put the clone on top, and congratulations, the enemies jump to their deaths, and now you have to go all the way at the bottom of the cliff and loot them. Because you need to loot the corpses. And that's one of the main reasons I don't think this thing is going to work out. Because the idea of getting monsters to jump off a cliff is actually really fun, obviously. But, there's always a but, huh? After running to the corpse sounds like tedious and stupid, and considering you're probably going to encounter another group of enemies... while running to loot the guys you just killed is, like, you know, a little bit questionable. And yes, I understand the buff part, kinda cool, but is it really interesting just to buff your pawns? I mean, it sounds a little bit too basic. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is going to be a super popular playstyle for a certain group of people. But I don't know. I don't think the Trickster is going to work out that well. Anyway, that was Jaw Raptor. Pretty good stuff. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.